This eclipse is saying loudly, under the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Jupiter, 4 planets in Leo, this eclipse is saying, where's your joy? How much do you love this life?
We're in eclipse season right now. The power of our words, the power of our intentions.
Well, we come in with amnesia. This is the age of forgetting, and it feels really awful. It seems like everything's wrong.
When we're not showing up for ourselves.
I can guarantee everyone listening to this is suffering from a low grade of self-esteem. Everyone in this room, there's no question. You all have a personal story where you forgot.
Or does the chart emerge from our soul's frequency that we've been building through lifetimes?
And you were given the assignment to go down there and rewrite the narrative. There's never a bad time to pray. It is really our job. Like, if I had to describe the function of the human condition, it's to get on our knees and remember humility. So why don't we start with that? Because I know we tend to be secretive here, and we, eighth house people, go behind the scenes and do our prayer. Let's do it together. And this is something that I do every single day. I really believe that my lifetime is here to bless. And that took me out of the victim. And we're going to talk about that today, that so much of this life, especially at the beginning, is the childhood is you're a victim. You really are a victim. You can't get out of there. There's no free will. And then as the maturing and the aging and being seasoned, you realize, oh, this is a movie, and I'm being asked to be able to pray and stay conscious, not about God in the classical sense, but as an astrologer, about the divine design that is so airtight. Why don't we just give thanks? So let's just take a moment. I suggest everyone just sit up a little taller. Pretend you're in a temple, or pretend you're in a like a prayer yoga studio, or you just walked into a church and there's classical music being played, or maybe you're in the midst of your own home and you can feel, as we begin, a sacred space being beckoned. So we close our eyes and we bow our head and we enter into sacred space. Across the planet, all of our family that are watching this podcast, may you all stop time with me. And remember to acknowledge those we cannot see, because they're with you all the time. So I start by saying, forgive us for forgetting how deeply connected we are. Feel the innocence of our heart as we enter sacred space once again. And we ask for a prayer to be sent across this network of people listening, that you find the love that lives at the center of your heart that never changes, that you bow your head in the sacred ceremony that says, oh, I'm remembering. Just repeat after me in your head. Oh, I'm remembering. I came here with a purpose. I promised to be myself. The longing, the missing, the desires, the dreams, those are all put in place by my soul. So I stop now and take the deepest breath I've taken today and hold it at the top. And now breathe out gratitude. Beyond the mind is a place of gratitude that knows that every breath we take, every moment that passes, is a gift. And as we sit here in unison in a unified field of beings who are all awakening in this magical time, we come home to the center of our heart. So in your imagination, imagine there's a chair or a seat or a door that opened and you're in this room. You're breathing deeply in your own rhythm. You've bowed your head to the highest part of you, to the soul that you are, and you say, thank you for the privilege of being alive at this time. Help me to keep my mind in its seat so that my heart can be at the center of this conversation with myself as I listen, with my life. At the center of the conversation with this life is a surrendered posture. The holy ones knew this. Silence was welcomed. Peace lives here. This is a timeless place. So as we begin this podcast, we slow down time. We enter the sacred place that lives in the center of your heart, the place that waits for you. And in this unified field of all of us resting in our heart, we take one more deep breath, hold it at the top, and breathe out sacred energy as though you had the means to fill up your room with sacred energy that was honestly connected to your higher self, to your soul, to your guides, to the invisible ones that follow you around. In this moment, the conductivity, the electricity, the magical sparkles that come when the presence of those that we cannot see are acknowledged as happening. And then if you're willing, just put your hand on your heart. May each of us remember why we're here and find the confidence from the higher self as it becomes to be our best friend, our partner, our beloved. Let me remember the part of me that is so in love with this privilege of being alive. And let my heart be the landing pad that I come back to in the silence as I'm doing now. And now just rest for a moment, comfy in the middle of your heart, aware of the sparkles in the room. This will be the final, deepest breath you've taken yet. And we breathe out gratitude. This is a sandwich of gratitude on both sides. The beginning and the end is gratitude. Thankful are we for the privilege of being alive and learning the art of waking up inside the dream and falling in love with the part of me that waits, that longs, that wants nothing more than to remember, oh, that's who I am. May it be so that we all continue this path and find ourselves holding hands in cyberspace with the feeling of peace, gratitude, and love. So it is, Aho.
So it is. And with that said, we're here. We're here. Debra Silverman. Welcome back on Just Tap In. I wanted to bring you back to a moment in your life that during an eclipse, under the full moon in Cancer, you said to yourself, Deborah, I can't live with you. You can't keep taking me down. Let's make a decision right now. I want to marry you as long as you stay focused on your remembrance. And you said that you made that prayer out during an eclipse and it rippled out into the rest of your life. We're in eclipse season right now, the power of our words, the power of our intentions. But I really wanted to take you back to that moment of what did it mean to you to stay focused on your remembrance? Because you just said remembering in that prayer. So what does remembering mean to you?
Well, we come in with amnesia. This is the Kali Yuga. This is the age of forgetting. This is the downward spiral of the end of an era that we're all in. And it feels really awful. I picked today the death card. So we enter in with this, oh no. And that's the forgetting. Like it seems like everything's wrong. And you have your own personal story. I'd love to hear it because I'm so interested in you. But everyone in this room, there's no question. You all have a personal story where you forgot that teacher, that partner, that father, that sister, that mean pie, that unbelievable accident that happened, all of that was part of the plan, but you just couldn't remember. And this is the art of aging and getting wiser and practicing with Emilio and doing these podcasts and these prayers. If you did this every day, you commanded your higher self to come take over your life. This is the immersion that I do every year, twice a year. I spend like 20,000 people in a room and it's past religion. You don't have to think about the old structures of your family handing you. The nature of astrology is a transcendent religion that says there's a design, but you can't remember. It's like the silliest game. I don't know who made this up. We're going to drop you off. I grew up in Detroit. They showed me pictures. Before I got here, I saw pictures of dolphins and I saw the tropics and I saw all the beauty of the landscape and I saw mountains. And then I got dropped off in Detroit. I was like, are you kidding me? This was false advertising. I can't believe where I started. So I went unconscious as design would have it, and I forgot everything. And I identified as this cute little girl who was a dancer. Like you were basketball, I was dancing. I had all these fascinations. I started astrology very, very young, the fascination, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't say to myself, I really love dancing, astrology, writing, therapy. I had no remembrance. And as the beginning of those things came in, like I can remember the first time seeing the word astrology, and it was like a Christmas tree. Like I was a little girl. My whole heart went. La, 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 la. So you all had this. You meet somebody and the memory goes off. You hear a song and you just remember your childhood, or a smell, or you find yourself painting or cooking or writing or studying and you go, why do I love this so much? It's a remembrance, but you didn't come with the instruction manual. Ha ha. They just drop you off, and they don't give you any kind of instruction, nor do they give you an active left brain that has a connection to the right. They are separated at birth. You've got a right brain that has intuition, that the child giggles and coos and makes funny noises, and a left brain that goes to school to learn your language. And they don't meet until you start listening to podcasts called Just Tap In. Like, these are so many podcasts that are trying to say to us, there is the telepathy tapes did such a giant step for us through the collective, the #1 podcast for several months last year. Let us begin to consider the right brain and the left brain in union. And that's what remembering is. Because do you know that your right brain has full memory of the songs, your childhood? When you dream and you see yourself as a little person and you're wearing those little outfits, or it's like total recall. But the left brain is dependent on linear logical recall. So it doesn't feel smart and it doesn't feel like it remembers much. And by now, as we've been scrolling, we're losing our left brain entirely. I used to memorize all the phone numbers. My left brain's like, huh? But that's not a big problem, because the right brain, intuition, feeling, sensing something, getting a sense before it happens, being interested in all the woo-woo things, sacred medicine, all of that is right brain function. And remembering, believe it or not, the deepest remembering is a right brain function. Because in your heart of hearts, when you meet your partner or you meet that dog, comes home and you're like, I love that. I'm in love it. Well, you don't remember it consciously, but that's a remembrance at a soul level. So it's a lost art. And it is why we went to school, by the way. We were academically trying to be trained, unfortunately, just to remember left brain memorization. And now the right brain's coming online saying, can you remember, like, for example, how many of you have studied your chakra system? That was a memory. How many of you have begun to flirt with meditation? That's a memory. This has been across time. How many of you have studied human design or the gene keys or astrology? These are systems that are left behind that are being called forward, and then you study with your left brain, go to the right brain's convert, and that's when it gets so interesting.
Hello, beautiful family. Quick one today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to this channel. Your subscription means more than you know. Even though it's free, what you're doing is you're empowering a whole channel to be able to do this every single day and continue showing up in the way that we can with all of our resources on hand. Thank you for contributing to the growth of this channel, for sharing it with the people that you love, for creating a conscious movement of individuals that are seeking the sovereignty and the divinity of their soul. This is why we're here. And if you haven't already and you're enjoying this content, I invite you now to look below on that little button that says subscribe and welcome you properly to this community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are and being pure love and radiating that with everyone that you see. Back to the episode. I wanted to do something that we've never done before on the podcast, which is, it might look on the surface like a left brain activity, but when someone looks at a astrological chart, you see all these patterns and numbers and symbols. It feels left brain. But when I see it, sometimes it looks like a piece of art. So we're actually going to pull up the chart for the Leo new moon eclipse coming August 12th. So I wanted to pull it up and really ask you to walk us through what you see here, because for me, This just looks like a beautiful painting, but I have no idea how to read this right now.
For those of you that have never seen a chart before, they flatten the sky and they turn it into 12 pieces. Like think of a pizza. And every piece, every slice of those houses, they're called how in the middle of the circle is the numbers, 1 to 12. So every one of those pieces of pie, they're called houses. They have arenas in life that describe what's meaningful. So you get to look at someone's chart and go, that arena, like in this case, there's 4 planets in the 10th house. That would be a significant influence because there's so many planets all gathered in one spot. Okay, so the short answer is this is a photograph of the stars at the moment of your birth that was split into 12 pieces of a pie. And depending, like you see on an eclipse, the sun, can you point with your pointer there, Emilio? There's the sun, the circle and the dot, and right next to it is the moon. And every time there's an eclipse under a new moon, they are standing right next to each other. And then if you go to the left, Emilio, you'll see a little box with English in it. Go all the way over to the box. Yep. On the top, there's the sun. Go to the very top. The sun is a circle and a dot. And then right next to it, it says 20. Stop at 20. Go back. So there it is. 20 degrees of Leo. So on the day of the 12th, the sun will be at 20 degrees of Leo. And now we'll go down one. The moon is also at 20 degrees of Leo. This is how we know they're conjunct. There's 2 planets, and you can see it in the chart, but you can see it in the English. They're standing together. It's a dark sky. And during an eclipse, it was always said that the sun swallowed the moon because it's completely, we can see it this year. So that's the definition of an eclipse. It is either a new moon or a full moon, and it suggests a theme. But the physical beauty, to your point, look at the triangle in the middle. If you can just take your little pointer, start over there at Venus, up to Venus. It's in the 12th house. Go over to the 12th house. See in the middle of the circle, there's numbers.
Yeah,
Yep.
right here.
Now go to the 12th house. There you go. So go to Venus. It's right there. Venus looks like a mirror. So Venus, on this day, Venus is going to be, once again, we look at the number. It's going to be at 5 degrees of Libra. Then we take the blue line all the way over to Uranus, go over to the right, and there's Uranus. And it's at 5 degrees of Gemini. And then we go down to Pluto, down to the bottom. Yep. And now there's Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So we have 3 planets all in tandem. This is Astrology 101. It's called a grand trine in air. It's very beautiful. Triangles like pyramids are a sacred symbol of remembering. It's so funny you brought up remembering. This would be a chart during this eclipse that would act, if a baby were born with this chart, what a cool chart for a baby to be born with. They would have an activation portal because 3 planets were all in air, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Doesn't even matter what planets. We simply know this is an activation moment in the planet for that child being born to open up the door of what your point was, the left brain. It's a linear, logical thinking, communicators. Gemini, Libras, and Aquarius, they don't look at me. They love to talk, and they have the gift of the gab. And they string words together like pearls. And at the end, you're like, how did she or he do that? That's the gift of that grand trine, but it gets better. When you go up to the top of, there's a kite. Now go up. Yep, exactly. Keep going, keep going, keep going to Mercury. Yep. So Mercury, get this, is at 5 degrees of Leo. Therefore, the planet degrees of Mercury at 5, and we have Venus at 5, and Uranus at 5, and Pluto at 2. It's a perfect geometric shape. It's a piece of art. Now, for you non-astrologers, this is an ancient tool that was brought to us 4,000 years ago when language was hardly being spoken. Why? Here we go. I love it. It's Emilio.
By
Because
who? By who?
By the ETs. I was just going to say that. By who? By a higher intelligence that had the system how to execute a chart based on the numbers and the time of your birth and the latitude of where you are. This is exquisite. It's absolutely perfect. And it's unfathomable because we can't figure out who gave us the system. And actually in the sky, can you believe this? We're having fun right now. Think about this. A triangle in the heavens on August 12th in perfect design and being what we call sextiled by Mercury and Jupiter, making this a kite. So they're all fire and air. Those 3 planets we mentioned were air, communicator, thinker, talker, high level of left brain. And that's complemented by Mercury in Leo saying, I just like I'm displaying it right now. I love this. That's Mercury in Leo. They get excited over nothing. They jump up and down. They're the kids in the charts. They have this incredible loud enthusiasm. So
I have
all that.
Mercury and Leo.
Oh, that's so. This is why we love Emilio. He's completely mentally Mercury the mind in Leo. He's in love with turning us on to open thoughts. Hello. So this is Emilio lifetime in his expression. However, on the eclipse, you guys, this is an opportunity. And we always point to the eclipse as a moment in time where you put your flag in the ground, you make a statement. So back to Emilio's point, on that full moon in Cancer, I was suffering. You could stop sharing just for a minute. I'm going to tell a story. I was suffering from an ambivalence about being alive. I happen to have what Emilio has, an 8th house sun. I'm very deep and I get very sad easily. I'm prone to depression, not for my personal life, but when I see a homeless person, I'm a wreck. When I watch the news, I'm a wreck. When someone just recently called me, needed money, I'm like, I feel my 8th house, my Scorpio influence. I just want to help. I have so much Cancer in my chart, which is what you have. I just want to help everybody. And so it really hurt me for many, many years. And it left me ambivalent. I don't know how many of you can relate to this. Did you ever have that, Emilio, where you walked to the edge and you were like, yuck? Like,
Yeah.
tell me again why I'm here? Yeah, so you had to
Yeah.
meet that in yourself probably before your mom came and gave you the meditation. When the nervous system is a wreck, when we're scared, when we're lonely, when we have a breakup, when we lose our job, when we watch the news, all of that dysregulation made me secretly, you couldn't tell by looking, feel like, what am I doing here? And I don't really like it. And I couldn't really tell him because it just sounds terrible. It sounds like a really morbid thought. So on that eclipse, during the full moon in Cancer, which is a significant emotional full moon, I said, Deborah, stop it. Unpack your bags. Stop arguing with life. What are you doing? You're not going to get out of here till the alarm goes off, and it's not in your call. You don't get to push that button. So sit down and reestablish under this eclipse, and I'll never forget it. You just brought up, I put down the flag and it said, I'm choosing to be here. Now, sometimes I bump into, ew, and then I go, excuse me, Deborah, remember what you decided on that eclipse? So that's the function of an eclipse. Now, let's talk about this one. You can go back to the chart. That was an emotional eclipse, and it was really addressing, and I don't know how many of you have it. I'd love to hear in the chat, the comments. Like, do you suffer from that ambivalence? And are you willing to unpack your bags and make a decision in this podcast that you're going to say, I don't want to argue anymore with life, and put down your flag? Well, here's the next conversation. We'll come back to that. So today, on August 12th, this day of the year, the eclipse, the sun and the moon, as you know, are at 20 degrees of Leo. So what does that mean? And we see it so much in Emilio, and I have it too. Hold on. I always fix my hair when I say Leo. It is the energy that loves love and loves to be seen and to dress up and put on the jewelry and has incredible ideas and is always pioneering. It's in fire. So Mercury's the mind, and it's in fire. And interesting enough, on this day, Jupiter, can you point to this planet right next to Mercury? It looks like a 4. Go back up to the 10th house. Go back up to the chart. Right there. That's it. Jupiter looks like a 4. You know why? Because it's 100 times the size of Earth. I always say it's 4 times the size of everybody else. So it looks like a 4. So Jupiter and Mercury standing together, and Leo's like, oh, Jupiter is like super MSG, or like secret sauce, or like turning the volume up on something or making it a little bit more louder. It's an enhancement drug. It gives you vitality. So you put Jupiter, who's so big and fat and joyful, sitting right on your Mercury in Leo, who's already having a party. And now this eclipse is saying loudly, under the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Jupiter, 4 planets in Leo, this eclipse is saying, where's your joy? How much do you love this life? And if it's really hard on you, because I can relate, can you put a flag in the earth that says, I am going to look for reasons to be joyful? Because Jupiter is conjunct Mercury. Now you can pretend you're an astrologer. And to top it all off, the quality of joy that Leo brings, the love for life they bring, is very attractive. Well, first of all, they dress up, and they're loud, and they're passionate, And they, look how he does his podcast. His Mercury in Leo goes and reads all my stuff before, spends hours getting my secrets out, tells them to everybody. This is so Mercury in Leo, blah, and then gets everybody enrolled in Debra Silverman. I'm like, don't you know I'm a secret keeper? Why are we talking about that eclipse when I was alone in the dark in the full moon, telling myself that I was going to, okay, well, I guess we're telling everyone it's in Mercury in Leo. So it's the part in all of us that needs permission. Get ready. Here's the punchline. To love yourself enough to show up and to not be attached to the rejection or the self-consciousness or the anxiety or the insecurity or all those funny words that prevent you from standing up and being counted. The double Leo sky is all about self-love, genuinely remembering what we did at the prayer. There's a part of you, I swear this is true. It's happened to me. There's a part of you that waits in the wings who is smiling at you all the time. She or he has a lot of compassion for you and is very impressed for your service that you took on a life. It's not easy. I don't know what it is that we didn't get told this at a young age. Like, especially childhood was horrible, and teenage years, and then the 20s. If you would have seen me, it was embarrassing. I was so insecure. I was such a Libra rising. I was such a codependent. I could not be alone. It's embarrassing. And then eventually, as time goes on and we remember, wait a minute, you're never alone. You don't think there's people in your room right now? You don't think that they're watching you? I have a direct experience throughout this lifetime. I can't see them, and I'm kind of thankful because I think it would be a little confusing. I sure can feel them.
Yeah.
And they're in your room right now, you guys. So you may never have had this experience before, but when we finish this podcast, I'm going to ask you, before you turn it off, however long you listen, to stop at the end of the podcast, wherever you're done, close your eyes again and say, help me, stay close to me. I want to remember you. And then
I want to remember you. And it goes back to what we were saying with the eclipse, the power of our words, the power of the prayers, the words that we utter. I actually looked at the word. If you add an S to the beginning, it becomes sword. So the word is the sword. It literally directs where you want to go in your life. So what we utter and what we say hold powerful consequences and potentials down the line in our entire life.
it's so funny. I stopped doing readings, just so you know. If anybody wants a reading, I have 22 certified astrologers, and I do this matchmaking game where I actually look at your chart and I fix you up with a great astrologer. Once in a blue moon, pun intended, I do give out readings. I did one today. And the woman was very sophisticated. She had a lot of success in her career because I'm expensive. So she clearly valued spirituality. She had reached a high level. And then she had something go wrong with her body, which is how life talks to us. And now she was consulting me because really, when she looked over her life, she was about 38 years old. She felt like everything had gone wrong. So when I heard that sentence, to put your point about the sword, it went on and on and on. She had an astrologer tell her she had a really hard chart. She had someone tell her that this injury she had wasn't going to get healed. She had someone tell her that she was never going to be in a relationship. She had a lot of stories with her sword that by the end of the session, she said, no, really, I've done all this spiritual work, and I've done ayahuasca, and I've taken the classes, and I've done the therapy. And I said, I don't care. The way your language, your sword's being used, tells me everything. And how
Yeah.
do we catch our thoughts? We have to slow down and start calling ourselves out and say, why was she telling me? She actually was trying to convince me that her chart was awful. I was like, you got the wrong person. From my point of view, God was not having a bad day when she made you. So don't take it so personally. And there was so much beauty in the chart that she'd left out, which I pointed out and really did the double Leo thing, fluffed up what was true about her soul and diminished the language, to your point, that her sword was turning on herself. And you don't know you're doing it. And that's the hardest part of the game.
I was in San Diego and Encinitas a few weeks ago, and I ended up at the Yogananda Self-Realization Temple. And I went to their Sunday service in their fellowship, and the lesson of the day, and I couldn't hear. It was like this booming voice because we got there a little bit late. We couldn't get inside, so we were just sitting outside. And the voice was saying, I dropped into meditation, and it was saying that whenever you choose to look at the good in others, you actually pull it out of them. So it's just like you were saying, when you look at someone's chart, and there's so many ways I could look at my chart and say, this is terrible. I have a Mars in Cancer. Are you kidding me? Like, what's going on here? But it's the way that also we see it. And what you're talking about is how you flip the perspective on what we see, and that creates our destiny.
And that's the value of what we call the high road and low road in astrology. It's in my book. I don't believe in astrology, the funniest title, that there's a low road. And so, and by the way, I have Mars in Cancer too. So the low road of Mars in Cancer, to his point, you see a planet like Mars, it's red. It represents the warrior. It's male. It rules Aries. It's a very powerful planet of physical, athletic ability and the warrior. And it's in Cancer for us, the mush push, the sensitive person, the mother. There's no value for war or assertiveness or pushy in the name of the mother. You want to cuddle. So it's confusing. I always tell the story, my son has it as well, that he was playing rugby and he came home. He's very athletic. And he said, I just can't go and charge the guy. Like, he had Mars and Cancer. He goes, what's wrong with me? I got the ball. I'm ready to go. I'm ready. And I just can't hurt. I was like, oh, this is never going to work. So to your point, it's challenging to put mixtures together of planets. Now, the high road of that, you and I, we're mothers and fathers. We care about the people we love. We caretake. Our male energy, what I'm doing with you guys as an audience, all I want to do for you today is give you the comfort that a mother, my Mars in Cancer and my Cancer in midheaven, wants to say to you. And that the thing that happened during the eclipse, I wanted to say, I'm going to agree to stay here and I will hold you. And my male energy, while it does feel awkward because I wish I was a little powerful, a little more, it is very powerful to be loving and to be gentle. And so I had to rewrite the story. So did my son, and so will you. That it's not a bad, because, crabs walk sideways. So it's awkward. If you ever see a crab, it literally walks sideways. So if male energy wants to go direct and be really strong, your style is to be considerate and to take a chance and not to judge yourself or me, judge myself for, why am I so mushy?
So you had a friend who spent 27 years in prison, and you got together the funds, helped him get out, and he told you that jail is between your ears. And since then, I think since that story, you said that your favorite thing is to help people get out of jail in their head and in their mind in some sort of way. And so I wanted to touch on that, because we're seeing these eclipse, this year at large is filled with opportunities, but some people might still be feeling like they're inside of a prison and a reality that they can't get over, that they can't get out on the other side. What would you like to say to those people, knowing
Such a
that
great
you've already
question.
helped a lot of people get out of jail?
Well, this is the bridge between Mars and Cancer. I, like you, when you said how hard it is to have that, the jail sentences that we judge, it's unbelievable, the internal dialogue that we all suffer from. And it's embarrassing, and you probably don't know you're doing it. There's a part of you that feels self-conscious or anxious because there's another part that's verbal or non-verbally undermining you. And therefore you're in jail because you can't say, excuse me, this is double Leo. If we were all double Leo during this eclipse, we would say, excuse me, that is not true. Don't talk about me like that. And by the way, sit down. You'd feel very authoritative. Double Leo is royalty. It's the king, it's the queen, it's the lion. In the tarot deck, it's strength, that you can put your hand into the animal's mouth and you're fearless because you know who's in charge. So that's the high road. But if you're in jail and you've given your power to the jail keeper and you don't even know his name, and he works full time all day and all night, he wakes up in the middle of the night saying shit about you, and you don't even know it because it becomes part of the backdrop of your sound. The keyhole to get you out of jail is, first of all, this is why I love astrology so much. You turn on you come off the planet. You reduce all the religious, all the family dynamics, all the psychology, and you come up here. And now you're out of jail because you're stepping out of the bondage of the human condition. This is the devil card in astrology. It's Saturn, it's Capricorn. You come up and off of that place and you look back and you go, huh, I had no idea I had free will. Why did no one tell me that there's this option called taking a breath, called
Hmm.
stopping? called apologizing, called asking for help. So for so many years, I did live in jail. I unconsciously, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't know how my emotional body required feeling loved by someone. It didn't even matter who, because I couldn't give it to myself. So I was super needy. I hate talking about this because it's so far away from me now, but it was a long movie, a long, long movie. Yes, I had children, I got married, and all of that created codependency to some degree. And those of you that don't have husbands and wives and children, you're still codependent. Could be on the dog, could be on food, could be on your addiction, on listening to podcasts or watching, scrolling. These are addictions that are another symptom of I don't feel good. I don't
Hmm.
feel like I can get out of jail. I'm in this lockdown and I don't know who did it and I don't know how to get out of here. And I didn't realize I was in here until I started waking up and going, wow, some people, thank you, Debra Silverman, are examples of love and joy and light. Thank you, Emilio, who really are falling in love. Some people have broken the bondage that your parents are suffering from. Some people turned around and left behind the programming. It's really powerful. And then this life gets to be a different texture and different colors. And it's called the opposite of prison is freedom.
Mm.
So yes, my friend Kenny, he spent I'm probably going to cry because I don't know if you know that he passed in January.
Yeah. Yeah.
He spent 27 years in San Quentin in a life sentence. It's in my book, The Missing Element. And the thing about Kenny, I learned so much from him, besides the jail being between your ears, was that he never argued with reality. He just didn't fight. Even when he was in prison, he had this track record. How we got him out was because he had a perfect track record. He learned as he entered the prison, if some old man came to him and said, don't lose your temper. That's when they get you. And he never now he was an Aquarius with 4 planets in Capricorn, so he was very solid and grounded. Mars and Taurus, he was a very stable creature. And I just loved sitting next to him and pretending I was him. That's what I did. Okay, you want me to tell you a secret that I probably shouldn't tell you, but it's going to entertain your audience?
I love secrets.
Of course you do. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I've never said it before, but that's Emilio. When he got out, I kept thinking to myself, we were in LA when he got out, and he had shackles over his wrists and his ankles, and it was really intense. And we went and took a trip to LA. He and I were best friends, 6'4" black man from LA. And I was trying to think of what I could get him that he would really make him happy. This is bad. This story's bad. So I said to him, tonight, don't lock the door. And I called a woman of the night, and I paid her to go to his room. And in the morning when he and I had breakfast, he said, Deb, you're the best friend I ever had. I just wanted to entertain you guys because podcasts are all stuck in their head. That just puts you in your heart. Who has the nerve? I mean, how did I even know how to, I mean, honestly.
The lady of the night.
It's a Silverman story. I did something this is the permission of during this eclipse. Let yourself do something during this week because we're going to be here on the eclipse. During this month, because we're going to have a second eclipse on the 29th at the end of the month. Let yourself do something that you can't tell anybody. I mean, I just told you, but something that you're courageous enough to say to the woman. You walk up to her and you say, you are so beautiful, and then just walk away. Or you say to the man, oh, you smell so good, and you walk away. No agenda, but stretching yourself into the land of Leo, which is the joy of life, the willingness to take the courage. This is the highest road of Leo, the non-attachment to rejection. Because you know why? Their life lesson is self-recognition. If I feel good about myself, and this is the highest road of this eclipse, I can guarantee everyone listening to this is suffering from a low grade of low self-esteem. I can promise you, everyone in here, you look in the mirror in the morning, if it's not a good hair day, or you got a line on your face, or you're gaining weight, or you feel like you don't really have the right body, all of that is prison. And under this eclipse, you use that double Leo key and you liberate yourself into the land of, I self-recognize myself. I know there's angels that love me. I mean, they follow me around. I have another story I can tell you that you can't believe the strange things that happened to me with angels and the willingness to suspend the mind. I know look at this, when I'm around you, I want to tell you all my secrets. It's weird. You do this to everybody,
There's
don't you?
trust. There's trust. There's trust.
And you're such a good listener with all that stuff on your head.
Hmm.
Well, I was going to tell a story, but I just got a little scared.
We'll circle back to it. One thing I did want to ask you is, the way I understand astrology is that, we are born, we have this birth chart, and it's filled with potentials, astrological potentials. I'm curious how that could relate to the topic of self-esteem when we fully step into and express our astrological potential, the energies that we were here to really show to the world, and how that can tie back to the way we view ourselves and the self-esteem that you were referring to.
That's so profound, as always. Do you think you're a good basketball player?
Yeah.
That's powerful. See, just that
Mhm.
response, that's Leo. To give yourself self-recognition, because it's hard to say it, that yes, I'm a good basketball player. So one of the medicine for what you're asking is the self-esteem question is you've got to begin by being willing. Honestly, the best thing you could do is look in the mirror and say to yourself, I really love you. I'm really learning to love you, if that's more honest. I'm really open to being healed. You tell yourself that. There's a whole engagement during this eclipse that survives the old self-esteem to the new self-esteem that is practiced by giving ourselves permission to say, I'm a good basketball. It's not easy. Was that easy to say?
No,
It was
no.
so, because it's so true. This is the new generation, which I really want to talk about. The chart of this moment is so beautiful. We're walking into, this is the upside of the story that everyone keeps saying the world is about to destroy. And yes, we're at the end of the
Mhm.
Kali Yuga. And yes, we turn a corner, but it's such a happy ending. And part of it is because of Emilio. Because there are spirits that are coming in that are his age, and many of you are listening, and you were given the assignment to go down there and rewrite the narrative. Change your self-esteem would be the one ingredient. If I could point to one ingredient under this eclipse that could change the world, is if we were really respectful of ourselves. And we didn't need to criticize others because we were like, you do what you do. You do you. And you looked in the mirror and you really said to yourself, I'm really learning to love you. And just feel how awkward that is. Or I'm a good basketball player. Or in my case, I'm a really good astrologer. I was so self-conscious in my younger years to say that. It felt conceited.
Mm.
I'm telling you under this eclipse, you've got to change that law. Give the internal world that resting spot in the middle of your heart that says to you, relax. I got
Mm.
you. You're doing so much better than you think you are. You probably don't believe me because your critic's going to jump on my head. But if we could just get out of prison, get the critic out of here for a minute. If you're this far into this podcast and your heart just got open because Emilio's got this vibrational, unbelievable Mercury in Leo, his sun's in the 8th house, he's Sag rising, he's got fire for his soul, he's lighting you up. And then there's me. I got a little bit of fire, can't you notice? I'm trying to say to you in no uncertain terms, you're so lovable. But do you know how long that took me, Emilio? You're way ahead of me.
Mm. Mm.
I climbed the
Journey.
mountain. It was not easy. Stand on my shoulders. Look over the sledge with me and see where your mother and your grandmother came from and how low their self-esteem was because they were busy surviving. We're in a different era. We have time to listen to podcasts.
Mm. And I feel that really deep down, we know when we're not showing up for ourselves. And the reason why you can say I'm a great astrologer, I could say I'm a good basketball player, is because internally, if we're honest with ourselves, we know that we've shown up in those moments. Like, I know that I was the last player to leave the gym after 3-hour practice, show up on Saturdays, Sundays. You've given over thousands of readings. So I feel a lot of it is about showing up for ourselves, and to really build that self-esteem, we have to be honest and say, have I genuinely been there for myself, even when I don't want to, even when I want to put others before me, even when I want to take care of every single person around me? Because, if we want to change the world, it starts with us. That's what Gandhi was saying over and over again. So It's
So
beautiful to see it
beautiful.
that way.
That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And I add one more word that's not a very pretty word. It's called lazy. And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know why they're lazy, but they suspect they are. They judge themselves for being lazy. The difference between them and you and me is we're on a mission. This is Sag rising. This is your soul. You guys, your rising sign is the soul. It's what you're rising into. And it gives you the clue of where you're aiming. So that's a really important piece. The other one is the Saturn position. I'm going to see you. I think I already know that your Saturn is in, you have do you know where your Saturn is?
I'm pretty sure it's in Taurus.
That's right. I'm going to pull this up in one split second. Here it is. And the answer is your Saturn is in Taurus. I love that. So as soon as I know that, this is why I love Emilio. He's slow when he comes on and he says, "Hi, Deborah. Tell me what's making you really." I love it so much. It's so sensual. That's his life lesson. Permission to not judge the turtle. So you can go through my book, I Don't Believe in Astrology, and just go look at your Saturn. My Saturn is in fire. It's in Sagittarius. So I get embarrassed that tell people that I got the Lady of the Night. Who tells people that story? That's Saturn and Sag, the uninhibited. Now, everyone has a different one. And right now, get ready, you guys, on the planet, Saturn's in Aries for the first time in 30 years. Did you know that? It just entered Aries on February 14th. Okay, so when Saturn's in Aries, if we look at the historical backdrop, which I'm about to give you, every 30 years, I'm going to mark them, just recent ones, Saturn was in Aries, the world makes big shifts because Aries is fire. We're back to the conversation about the elements. It's the strong male energy. It rules Mars. Remember Mars being the red planet? So Aries is a very activating, powerful, initiatory, pioneering. Think of spring. It's breaking out of the winter. It's pushing up through the cement. It's got a lot of will, a lot of push.
Mm.
So it arrived. Can I do this? Is this a good time?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I'm also here looking at key events 1996. That was the
Yes,
30 years ago.
that's right. That's right. You'll see. I'm going to go right to that. So first ones I'm going to mention is 1908. This is just inside this era that we can mention. That's when the Model T Ford came out. Now just stop for a minute. Stop the bus. When Saturn entered Aries, a car entered into the zeitgeist that took away the horse and buggies, took away the turtle speed that we moved in life. And as soon as that car, as soon as that oil, as soon as that system began to mobilize us, the entire world was about to change. Okay, so just leave that one there. Then 1937 to 1940, Saturn's in Aries. That's called World War II. It's a time when the male energy came in and we had to fight to get rid of fascism. And we had to really do the best to create the UN and to create the effort by people to stand up and say no more. Does that sound familiar? Then 1967, 68, and during the Vietnam War was another moment to demonstrate for America this wild revolt. Like, no, we're not going to stand up for this. Sound familiar? And then we get to, I love this one, 1996 to 1999. You know what came then? The internet. Google.com. The .com industry began. Saturn entered Aries, and this brand new way of communicating that established a network, a web around the world that passed and transcended countries and languages. I don't know the number of the billions of people that have this, but it was the entrance of a brand new model, not unlike the car. And now, in February 13th, 2026 to 2028, we have the entrance of AI. Now, doesn't that fascinate you that these are the markers of where life exploded into big, giant changes? Not to be mistaken with World War II or World War III, which resembles what we're in, that something's wrong. Because once you come off the planet, and this is a skill that happens with your prayers, and you stand out and you watch back at yourself, you realize, wow, life moves in these cycles. And they have a real timetable built into astrology that will describe it. And for people like me who left I love that image of you leaving basketball, the last person to leave, the person like me who's the last person to stop staring at the stars and reading about it, I realized, wow, we're at the tail end of a cycle Where do you think it goes when it hits the bottom? It goes up. And AI, I don't want to do a long discussion about that friend of ours, but I can tell you that it is going to bring us the invitation to put our values where they count. We're going to have to really do an activation portal for the Aries energy in us to say, I'm not going to stand for that. So if you notice any of you in this room, your fire, your energy, because the 2.5 years previous to the Saturn was in Pisces, and that's when we were doing the ayahuasca and the psilocybin, we were talking about telepathy, and we were all into woo-woo. Then it moved into Aries, and now we're like, excuse me, I think we got to talk and get, it's enough with the podcast, you guys. You got to get up under this eclipse with 4 planets in Leo, look in the mirror, and do the homework.
Do the homework. I had a bit of a philosophical exploration that I wanted to do with you. And one question I was like pondering in my mind was, you mentioned that the rising sign is our soul. And I was curious to know how you see this. Obviously, maybe no one in this planet has the total truth of this answer, but does the soul choose our birth chart, or does the chart emerge from our soul's frequency that we've been building through lifetimes? Does that make sense?
They're pretty much the same thing. You just said the same thing twice. The soul, which is, by the way, source of unconditional love, as distinct from the ego, which is evading God's oneness. So think of those letters, those acronyms. Source of unconditional love. There's a team sport. It's not as simple. I'm too real to pretend that I know those answers, but I can tell you this for sure. Because you know that I get hired to choose the time for C-sections. When mothers have C-sections, they call me. I'm like, I'm going to pick the rising. This is like a nerve-wracking job.
Oh,
but
for their astrology. Oh, wow.
It's a very interesting and scary job because you put yourself in God's eyes. Back to, if the quality of consciousness that we're living at right now on this planet, if we could just stay awake enough to say that we have a relationship with the soul, this is going to be the first piece of waking up. That was the prayer. If you can wake up to know that your soul has your best interests, let's start there. And it designed an entire storyline with your consent, that you were going to learn these series of lessons put in the Akashic records from past lives. I don't care what you believe. This is right brain. Everybody over here, sit over here now. In the history of the backdrop of consciousness, there is an order, said the astrologer. It's airtight. It's designed with precision, just like that unbelievable, beautiful sky that's going to be under this eclipse. It's airtight. It's perfect. In that case, of the 12th, it's so energetically perfect because of the degrees. Well, your lifetime was energetically perfect because of the degrees. You've been Kenny came into my world as a design soulmate that would teach me about prison being between my ears. Do you know what a gift that was and how peculiar that a black man in LA meets a little Jewish astrologer when they become back? The whole thing used to look so weird. We'd hold hands, we'd walk around. We went to Esalen last year together. I just used to think, are people thinking this is a little, I don't care, said my fire, right?
There's a movie right there. There's a movie.
Yeah, it's a scene out of a film. Okay, the point, I love this question you're asking. I swear to you guys, you got to write this down. My soul has my best interest. And then just start pretending. My soul has my best interest. Whatever this chart is, whatever this lifetime is, whatever my illness is, whatever my pain body, whatever my delight is, whatever that guy that left that I was so in love with, who was a Leo, I was thinking of him today. The first love of my life was born August 3rd. It got away. And then, of course, my soul's like, yeah, he taught you so much about love. And then he had to go so you could learn about letting go. And I was like, shut up. I hate that story. I like the beginning. I didn't like the end. And then the soul takes you into this question. At the higher self, to your ascendant, on my highest realm of my personal rising sign, mine's Libra, I have to be at peace. And it's a well-earned badge. You know, you can't wear the peace badge unless you're in the middle of traffic and you don't give someone the finger, because you really did learn how to be at peace. Unless you're dealing with Kenny coming out of prison and them calling me from the parole office as I'm driving with a crew. I did a documentary about it. A crew of people in the car, and they call me and say, oh no, he's not coming out today. Sorry, we do this on purpose so no one knows when they come. I was like, and then peace. So this is what Kenny taught me. Oh well, plot twist. This is the activation of the soul that was put in place at your higher self through your rising sign. And each of you have a flavor. And that's what you learn in our school. Our school's opening in September. If any of you are interested, it's only twice a year it's open. And if you just take the beginning class, it's just 6 weeks long. You sit and you study your chart. So it's not about theory. And there's only 10 people in the room. I'd love to get Emilio in one of those rooms. And you learn the language like I taught you today. Oh, the sun and moon were at the same degree during a new moon. Oh, Jupiter's 4 times the size of that's how simple I teach, like a 4th grade level young. But as you keep studying it, you remember. And the doors start to open and the cosmos start to open, and suddenly you're sourcing wisdom that's been waiting for you. So the reason why we study is there's a left brain that can't go limp. You guys, you're listening to many podcasts. You're not taking notes. You're not taking tests. You're not memorizing phone numbers anymore. You're not reading books. You're not underlining. I know you're not, because this thing is so completely distracting. And I'm telling you that without the left brain, to make it through this transition, to check the list that you did fulfill your promise, and you can get home and they can say, this was your soul's contracts. And you're going to go, God, I got so distracted. I just got so distracted. My emotional body was such a wreck. I got tired. I got so depressed. I got lonely. I was working so hard, you guys. You can't believe how much I worked. And then they're like, excuse me, don't you remember you made a contract with your soul and picked that birth time and we talked about it. And you asked for that. Don't you remember? You're like, not really. We're back to the word remember.
Hmm. Hmm. In the beginning of our conversation, you were saying how a lot of these ancient systems are coming back in a remembrance, like gene keys, human design, astrology, so many other systems. And one thing I did want to ask is, when you were first beginning to immerse yourself in the world of astrology, did you run into any gaps or limitations of the way we're perceiving modern astrology, that you had to dig a little bit deeper into other, let's say, philosophies or teachings to really bring it all together for you?
You have the best questions. I'm an old-fashioned astrologer, so we're Chiron or dealing with the asteroids. I really work with a very simple system when I teach it, and then people go off and find out millions of versions. I would say modern astrology has really pleased me because I get to see how these astrologers all over are now speaking it in a fluent jargon. Mind you, not everybody understands them, but I'm watching it really blossom. I would also say that what I had to go learn, which was part of my past lives, was I went and did a lot with the Tibetan meditation practices. I had people around me who were high regarded teachers, and I found myself in their company. I sat one night with a Roshi, who's a Zen teacher, in my hot tub here in this house one late night in silence, meditating. And then finally I stopped and I said, don't you think it's funny that we spend our whole life breathing? And he said, no, what's funny is that your ego thinks it's breathing. I was like, wait, what? So I always, because it's true, we're so identified to our ego, we think we're the whole game plan, but there's this whole other soul that's outward. There's guides, there's ancestors, there's people watching you. I have definitely, to your point, I have collected wisdom. I really love the Kabbalah. I'm working with the rabbi right now. You're going to hear more about it. We're working together. That's an ancient system, the tree of life. I've worked in depth with the Mayan calendar. That one is, to me, the most, and I spent years, to your point, with my left brain, taking notes, writing it down, reading books. I've also spent a lot of time with the tarot. I am really captured and have written a book that hasn't come out yet, but the tarot, which I'd love to do a podcast, it is one of the most profound. I just received Blues Tarot in my mail
Me
yesterday.
too. Yeah, yeah.
So there's ancient systems that are both mystical, the Kabbalah, the tarot, the Enneagram, all these different systems, the rune stones, there's so many. And those ancient systems all echo the same premise, which is, as Einstein said, God is not playing with dice. There is a design here. This is not a random occurrence. So to your point, your question was well asked. Did my soul organize my rising sign? Now, I can't say to you, yeah, I was there when you got your rising sign. You definitely wanted to be Sag and you were laughing all the way to the bank. No. What I can say to you is based on results, looking at your life, when I'm doing a reading, when one of my astrologers is doing a reading, they can say it's very clear this lifetime what you came in to learn. That's what the school is all about. The first 6 weeks is just the very last class of Saturn. And we say, here's what you came to learn. And once you have a running start, now you get to get on the trampoline and you're in your observer and you're looking back at your stupid story because everyone's got a stupid story. It's okay to say that. You're looking at your stupid story and you're like, that's what I came in to learn, that I was going to get rejected and my brother was going to beat me out my whole childhood. That was nuts. That's what I signed up for. Come on. And then you don't remember. And then when you're done at the very end and you get to the other side, they go, good job. And your brother's standing there saying, sorry. That was our assignment.
Hmm. Are you able to see, or one thing I wanted to explore with you is utilizing astrology to understand our family dynamic, and in a way, like the example of the brother, where you get to the other side and then you realize that that's what they were trying to teach you. Is that written in the charts as well? Can you see that and go deeper into that?
Yes, that gives me the willies. This is technical. You're going way advanced as usual. Sag rising, you're ahead of it. You're looking at the biggest picture. There are definitely indications about your parents, about your mother's style, how she loved you, about your siblings. There's clues to see, especially by listening to the story. It's easier to work backwards and go, oh, look, Saturn's in the third house. Third house is siblings. That was the karma that you've come in through a really difficult brother who would be the stalker to teach you about knowing how to stand up for yourself because your Saturn's in Cancer in the third house. So all of this is to be interpreted, both seen before the chart begins, but definitely understood. In our system in astrology, we use your story. When you do a reading with one of my astrologers, they're not going to do the da-da-da-da-da-da talk jargon. They're going to engage your heart. And at the end of the reading, you're going to go, I have never had a reading like this before. That's what I love best, when they finish and they go, I've had a lot of readings, but no one ever was this truthful. Yeah, because our whole system is about being truthful and blunt.
Mm. What's the hardest truth you've ever told someone during a reading?
I could see that someone was dying. It wasn't just the chart, but my intuition. And I had to prepare without saying, I would never be so bold to say you're dying, but I would say, let me help you, stay with you. And I helped her make the transition. Yeah, that's not easy. I can see when relationships are never going to work. Someone's coming in because they want to get back with their ex. I'm looking at the chart and I'm like, uh-oh, he's long gone. His chart moved down. He's having the best time and you're not. Like, so there's hard truths about this reality, and it's how we polish our consciousness is up against hardship. In the soil of pain is where wisdom grows. I don't know I made that line up, but I don't know who made that process up. I don't like it. And I'm prepared to tell you that in the next generation of our species, as we get through this AI, we get through the wars, and as the Uranus trining Pluto, this beautiful transit that's going to happen for the next year, there's a new system. There's a new human coming. And some of you are really wrestling with giving birth. It's so uncomfortable because you don't want to do the old stuff, but you don't know what the new stuff is. You're not alone. But I can tell you this comfortably, said the elder. I absolutely know in my bones that God always wins. Silence always wins. Love always wins. That's just what happens here. And in the silence is the wisdom of timelessness. And in timelessness is light. And in the light is love. So the light just came out. Do you see that? The light just got really big in the room. So don't mistake the dark. It's like we've been under the dark this last era. We've probably had like the 30 years of Saturn, since Saturn was in Aries, since the AI, since the internet started. That was the internet the last time this happened. And we got captured by it. We're all consumed in cyberspace. I had to call myself out recently about my scrolling. Like, I watch yours all the time. I catch myself in somewhat of a codependent relationship with it. My observer kicks in, which is what my books are all about, all my school is about. And I say, oh, Deb, you're lots of air. And one of the ways you soothe your nervous system is by hearing somebody say words. It's okay. Don't judge. We're getting out of jail now. And could you moderate to your point? Is there discipline, that icky word? Is there wisdom? Is there free will? And yes, I once went to the Grand Canyon for 2 weeks and gave them my phone, and it wasn't hard. But that was about 5-6 years ago, so tell the truth. I don't know if I could do it now.
At least we have super strong thumbs now. We can lift cars with our thumbs.
It was so sad.
I know you have tattooed on your arm the word listen. And as we're closing out this beautiful transmission, I wanted to ask you, when you sit down to listen to what the earth is asking of humanity, what immediately comes through?
Be gentle, walk softly, cry for me, be my voice, stare at me, bow down, don't neglect me. You guys are forgetting to get outside. I've been here giving to you the whole time. All I wanted to do is be the source of the smells and the taste and the wind and this ocean. And the earth is nothing but the most generous creature. And we forget to say thank you. So just be gentle and keep saying thank you. I say thanks over my food. This is back to the very first meditation. I want you to remember this. The sacred is the doorway back to your soul. Because everything the soul does is with intention. It's here. It's just, if think about church at its best. Think about having Christmas dinner with your family at its best. Think about falling in love at its best. Everything about this is so Leo. Everything gets sparkly and alive. Now your job is to sustain that. When the lights go out, you sustain it on the inside in the dark in the middle of your heart, where you're comfortable and you're at peace and you're in pleasure because you're so thankful to be alive. Not an easy, it's a workout. It's like being at a gym.
Yeah.
And you've been doing such a good job, Emilio. I just want to say your love for life, your Mercury and Leo and your Sag rising, you've really been an example for us to not stop being in love. And I know you're in Saturn return, and it's not easy. When the waters all go rocky, you got to let go of things in the business, and everything starts. It's so uncomfortable not to be mistaken with something's wrong.
That's immediately where the mind goes to first.
Because it's
There's
in jail.
something
The
that needs
mind
to be
lives in a
fixed.
very small cell. It smells in there. And it doesn't eat very much healthy food. It eats potato chips. It's just a use. I mean, until you say to the ego, excuse me, open the windows and get outside. You're stale. And once the mind realizes that it has a free will button, because you put your attentions every day you start your day. I'm remembering who I am. I'm falling in love with me. I'm falling in love with life again. I've made a decision. I'm really working hard at breathing deeply and reminding myself that this is in fact a choice I made, and I'm going to do it the best I can with all the Leo I can muster.
Wow. Deborah, every conversation we've had keeps getting better. And it's like it's something like it's building towards something that we don't even know where, but I know that these transmissions are going to live on for many, many years to come. And it's my responsibility and work to make sure that the sacredness that comes through in these conversations can be stored for generations to come. Kind of like a little like record keeper in some way. I was probably that in another lifetime.
That's so Taurus.
Yeah.
And I just want to say there's an immersion. If you guys want to do this every day with me, October 17th for free for 1 hour. Some of your friends are going to be on. I know you've been on it before.
Yeah.
We're going to have one day at what would be 11 o'clock California time. You'll find out by going to my website. It's called an immersion. And there's one person with their chart. We'd had Emilio before. And their chart comes up. And once again, just like today, you get to see it 5 days in a row. And while we're in prayer, calling forward sacred time. And by the end of it's like boot camp. By the end of the 5 days, you're like, oh, I feel the difference. My mind is obedient. It's starting to get a little bit taller. My self-esteem is getting a little better. And that's what happens. So please come join me for free. It's my greatest pleasure. Every year, twice a year, we do the immersion. And if you want to get a reading, that's the sweetest thing, to have somebody that's trained fall in love with you. And at the very highest level, please say you matter enough to take an astrology class. It's money back guarantee. If you think it's like woo-woo or it's too much or it's not practical, you're wrong.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to include all of the links down below in the show notes for everyone that wants to go deeper into the immersion. As you know, we end every episode with a segment called the Final Trio. These are questions I've personally put together just for you to close out this transmission. The first one I had was, what does the younger generation need to receive from elders that cannot be downloaded, searched, or generated by AI?
You just need to know that there's a lot. You don't need to know this with any of those things you just said. You need to know there's a lot of people on this planet that are holding you. And while you might not see them in form or out of form, they're all the elders who have seen this all before. So lean in and pray and ask for help. There are elders on this planet, older people and in the invisible, who are really holding you. You just can't feel them. So I'm here to tell you, I swear, they're waiting for you to ask for help.
Wow. What would you tell the little Deborah in you that questioned if her sensitivity was too much for this world?
That just made me want to cry. That's so funny. Oh my God. That's so funny how the emotional body gets triggered. On my mother's deathbed, in the presence of my cousin, because I know I didn't make this up because she saw it, my mom said to me, I am so sorry that I told you were so sensitive your whole life. She was always making me feel embarrassed that I was brought to tears. So I stopped, and I got a really bad ulcer and skin problems and everything else because I kept holding it in, like you just saw. And I would have said to her, if I could have, I would have said, you're going to be a famous astrologer when you grow up because of your sensitivity. Yeah, this very thing you don't like was what gave you the compassion to care so much about your family, called people, humans, this whole species. So do not listen to your mom. That's what I would have said to her. It's not true what she's saying. You'll see that will be your superpower, that you care so much that tears come out. So what?
Yeah. I mean, being a Cancer for myself and a Cancer male has definitely been one of the biggest learning lessons in my life, because I remember being a little kid and always needing to hold back the tears. And now there's actually moments where I'm like, I haven't cried in like 5 days. What's going like, like it's a purging process. And for me, tears are. I actually had a water researcher named Veda Austin, and she was telling me that our faces are uniquely designed so that when your tears come out of your eyes, they come down and into your mouth so that it heals you. So the waters of your body can heal you. So,
did you know that
and tears taste good sometimes,
did you know that
it's like
the
a mineral water.
Let's listen to this. The tears of your eyes are the same as the fluid in your mother's stomach and the same as the ocean. They're all salt water.
Yeah.
They're all the same pH balance.
There it is. So don't be afraid to cry.
Yeah, thank you. That opened my heart.
Deborah, you've spent 50 years learning to understand everybody's story from the lens of astrology and psychology. What part of your own story have you fully reclaimed recently?
God, so silly. I'm getting all emotional. It's not silly. It's so beautiful that I'm letting
Imagine
myself
if we were recording this in Cancer season.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. I would say, wait, do that question once more.
What part of your own story have you fully reclaimed recently?
You know, this is such a funny thing to say. I never knew that I was a loner. I just never knew it. And I mean, it was obvious by my behavior because I always leave the party early and I didn't want to go to the party and I just wanted to be with my best friend and I didn't want to go to the concerts. And I was always the girl that was like, it's too. And as the years went by, I was like, why do you think it is that you don't want to stay at the party? Why do you think it is that you, because that stimulation never fed me. But I didn't know. Back to your point about remembering and forgetting and being in jail. So I would do
Yeah.
things to please my friends and go out and party and do all the things, but I couldn't wait to get home. And as I
Mm.
got older, I was like, we're not going to a party. And now all my friends know that not to invite me and I don't feel bad and they don't feel bad.
Mm. Yeah. It's honoring literally the boundaries and going to the places and having the environments where we know we can thrive as well, while simultaneously, sometimes every once in a full moon, go to that one place that makes you the most uncomfortable you've ever been because that stretches you and it's character development for God.
That's exactly what the stubble Leo is. Hello, let's finish with that. I'm going to say it again. Be bold during this eclipse. Take yourself out of your comfort. If you're someone that does the same thing over and over again, change it up. If you're someone that changes it up all the time, stay home. You figure out your system and then do the opposite, just in the name, to your point, of God's growth. Like, we are here. The reason why we incarnated, I don't know how I assume that I have this answer. It's just by my constant study. It's the evolution of the species that's occurring through every one of you. You're threads of a tapestry. And as each one of you really makes the integrity of your thread, this life is going to become gorgeous with a really strong substance and a really strong material. So I took it upon myself to make my thread really vividly Debra Silverman. And I ask you all under this double Leo sky, let yourself get uncomfortable, go outside the boundaries, and come back when you're done. And let yourself say the thing. Tell somebody you miss them. Tell somebody you're sorry. Tell somebody you really think that they look good. Tell yourself in the mirror, I'm really falling in love with you. I see your soul. Try it. I want to read the comments and see if people actually did it.
Yeah. And we're reading them. We're reading them. So
I read them all. And that eclipse is like, it's so profound.
222.
Ding, ding, ding. Perfect
There it
timing.
is. Deborah, love you so much. Thank you so much for being who you are, for coming into this conversation in this space with literally your heart on your sleeve. And that's something that I take from our last conversation where we went so deep. But today it just felt like our hearts were fully there. And I that's something that goes such a long way. And I know that for everyone tuning in, for everyone that's listening, the opportunity to see someone that they admire, someone that's so knowledgeable and has so much expertise, be vulnerable and be who they are, that can change someone's life. So
that can change the whole
thank you for
planet if
that.
every leader and every elder took off the mask and reduced their defensiveness and became really exposed. We'd have a different planet.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And I look forward to many, many more. And we keep saying this, but we need to get together in person again because
I know.
I need
Well,
a big Debra
I'm
Silverman
going to
hug.
be in LA in the winter. I'll tell you my dates when we push the button.
November? Okay, never mind. We'll we'll talk about that.